A young woman holding a toddler approached next. "Are you okay?" she asked, concern in her voice. "They didn't hurt you, did they?" "I'm fine," Terence replied evenly. "I just didn't want things to get out of hand." From the edge of the park, a single clap broke the quiet. Then another. The applause spread, soft but sincere, carrying admiration and gratitude. Terence felt his face warm. He wasn't used to being the center of attention, and he certainly hadn't sought it. But not everyone was impressed. A man in a business suit, who had been watching from a nearby bench, stood and walked over with a skeptical look. "You think that was the right way to handle it?" he asked sharply. "What if they had weapons? What if someone else got hurt?" Terence met his gaze, unwavering. "And what would you have done?" he asked simply. The man started to answer but hesitated. He had no response. A murmur spread through the crowd. Some agreed with Terence's actions, while others wondered if the fight could have been avoided altogether. The park, once a peaceful retreat, had turned into a space for a much bigger discussion. Terence raised a hand, quieting the chatter. "Look," he said, his voice firm but calm. "I didn't want this to happen, but I wasn't going to let them walk all over me either. We talk about wanting a better community, but that doesn't happen by ignoring the problem. Sometimes standing your ground is the only way to teach a lesson." The crowd fell silent, absorbing his words. Some nodded in agreement, while others exchanged uncertain glances. But this wasn't just about the fight. It was about what came next. And Terence knew he had to be the one to start that conversation. As the park returned to normal, a small group of people gathered around him. Some thanked him for standing up to the bullies. Others asked how he had remained so calm in the face of aggression. Terence answered simply, with humility. But his actions had already made one thing clear. Strength wasn't just physical. It was about discipline, control, and knowing when to act. A boy, no older than 10, tugged on his mother's sleeve before stepping forward. His voice was small but filled with awe. "Mister, are you like a superhero or something?" Terence smiled softly, shaking his head. "No, kid. Just a regular guy who doesn't like bullies." The boy grinned, and his mother gave Terence a grateful nod. As the crowd began to thin, Angela, a schoolteacher who was a regular at the park, lingered behind. She approached Terence with a thoughtful expression. "You know," she began, "what you did today was more than just self-defense. Those kids, they've been harassing people here for weeks, and no one's known how to stop them. Maybe what they needed was to be reminded they're not invincible." Terence sighed, his gaze drifting to the path where the gang had retreated. "I hope they take this as a wake-up call," he said, "but what they really need is someone to show them a better way. They're just kids, lost and looking for a sense of power. I've been there too." Angela tilted her head, curious. "What do you mean?" she asked. Terence hesitated before replying. "When I was younger, I had my fair share of anger. Life wasn't easy, and I lashed out. Martial arts taught me discipline, gave me focus, and helped me see there was a better way to handle life's challenges. Maybe if someone had reached out to those boys before they got to this point, things could have been different." Angela considered his words, a flicker of inspiration crossing her face. "Maybe it's not too late," she said. "What if you're the one to show them that way?" Terence chuckled, shaking his head. "I'm no mentor," he said. "I barely know what I'm doing half the time." Angela smiled. "None of us do," she replied. "But you've got something they don't, a chance to teach them what strength really looks like." Her words stayed with Terence long after she left. As the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the park in shades of twilight, he sat back down on the bench, lost in thought. Strength, he realized, wasn't just about standing your ground. It was about lifting others up, even those who had tried to knock you down. The next day, Terrence made a decision. He visited the local community center and spoke to the director about starting a self-defense and mentorship program for troubled youth. It wouldn't fix everything, but it was a start. And sometimes, that's all it takes to change a life. This story isn't just about standing up to bullies. It's about finding the strength within ourselves to create change, even when it's hard. If this story moved you, take a moment to reflect on how you can make a difference in your own community. And don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this, where everyday moments remind us of the extraordinary power of courage and compassion.